It says, take the female, run a series of tests on her to see if she will submit to your desires willingly. Test her in every way because she is the most important factor for good economics. If she shows any sign of resistance in submitting completely to your will, do not hesitate to use the bullwhip on her to extract that last bit of B out of her. Take care not to kill her, for in doing so you spoil good economics. When in complete submission, she will train her offspring in the early years to submit to labor when they become of age. Understanding is the best thing. Therefore, we shall go deeper into this area of a subject matter concerning what we have produced here in this breaking process of a female nigger. We have reversed the relationships. In her natural uncivilized state, she would have a strong dependency on the uncivilized nigger male, and she would have a limited protective tendency toward her independent male offspring, and would raise the female offspring to be dependent like her. Nature had provided for this type of balance. We reverse nature by burning and pulling one civilized nigger apart and bullwhipping the other to the point of death, all in her presence. By her being left alone unprotected, with the male image destroyed, the ordeal caused her to move from her psychological dependent state to a frozen independent state. In this frozen psychological state of independence, she will raise her male and female offspring in reversed roles. For fear of the young male's life, she will psychologically train him to be mentally weak and dependent, but physically strong. Because she has become psychologically independent, she will train her female offsprings to be psychologically independent. What have you got? You've got the nigger woman out front and the man behind and scared. This is a perfect situation for sound sleep and economics. I did not write this book. This is from Willie Lynch, who was a slave owner and was teaching other slave owners how to control the slaves and how to break them. And the process is still going on.
Guys, they say people are not ready to have this conversation regarding will black men and women ever stop the infighting, these arguments on podcasts, on social media, the gender war that's been going on for the last 50 to 60 years. When will black men and women stop this whole debate of who's the prize in the relationship, especially after realizing there were certain things put in place hundreds of years ago to tear them apart? We have a lady here who makes some pretty good points touching on this topic.
And then what's crazy to me is I was reading the Willie Lynch letter, right? And it talks about the nigger marriage and how they purposefully took the black man at that time out of the household. This was their strategy. We're going to take the black man out of the household, and it's going to make the black woman raise her children in reverse roles. So she's going to be more protective of her son because she saw her husband get taken. But at the same time, she's going to raise her daughter to be strong the same way that she had to be to prepare her daughter to have to go through the possible same trauma that she went through. And their goal was raising the children in opposite roles. So it created a whole lot of strong strong women but weak men. And their goal was raising the children in opposite roles. So it created a whole lot of strong women, but weak men. They successfully executed their plan. And reading something like that infuriates me because it's like, damn, they successfully executed the plan against us. And we're so ignorant and naive and airheaded that we're really sitting here fighting about the roles of something that should be so simple within our households. And it's like, if y'all could just grasp that, like, just listen to that. Go back to what I just said and just listen to that. They set our families up for destruction, and then they succeeded at it. That don't give you an attitude and make you actually want to go and love on a black man or love on a black woman real quick. Like, we really got to sit down and figure out the counterattack to the success of the attack that was set out against us. This wasn't something that just happened overnight. Like, we used to be thriving communities. We used to be a thriving people. Our households used to be the shit to look to. Like, let's really be for real. And we still are. We just don't know it. So at what point do we stop having these petty ass fights and arguments with each other and realize, like, yeah, we're pretty good together? Everybody's right to have these very valid feelings and be able to say, like, hey, I need to feel supported in this way, man or woman. Everybody needs some form of support, whether it be emotional, mental, physical. We all need it. We're not each other's enemies. We really need to learn how to come together and cleave back to each other, because the enemy set out a plan against us and executed it beautifully.
She pretty much just read the blueprint of the destruction of the black family. And I wonder, can we ever get back to the space of black love again? And those letters are one of the reasons why the black women need to realize that black men are not their enemy. And black men need to realize black women are not their enemies.
And Willie Lynch's How to Make a Slave, Willie Lynch clearly states, make the light hate the dark, make the old hate the young, turn the women against the men, break the families, control the minds, and you will never need chains again. This is Willie Lynch's method on how to keep a slave mentally. See, what he is saying is, we don't need chains anymore. As long as we can control them mentally, as long as we can disfranchise them, as long as we can turn them against one another, they will always be slaves. That was in 1712. It's over 300 years later, and we're still doing the same things to one another.
This reminds me of what Mill X had to say about this a couple of months ago, where she touched on this topic as well.
But you know what I always think about, though? I always think about the us versus us. You know, that really happened centuries before we got here. I always think about, if I had my master's baby, I'm pushed this white baby out, but my husband got to be right here. Even though my hands was tied and so was his, we still don't like each other because of what just happened. He couldn't help me because I was violated, and I couldn't help him because that's his master. So I think centuries ago, we started looking at each other differently. And I think when we started to get on track, like after slavery, and cities were established by us, and our businesses, we were on point, and then the city started getting bombed, and then lynching our men, lynching our women. I'm a woman, and y'all barge in my house and take my son, and my husband can't do nothing. I'm mad with him. I'm mad with him. rape my daughter, and you can't do nothing. I'm mad with you.
Can't do nothing or won't do nothing.
Well,
hands tied.
I'm going to say hands tied because, if the lynch mob is there with all of the guns and the torches and we don't have anything but the things that we're building in our home, his hands was tied. So physically, emotionally, and mentally, that division, that was a long time ago. And
she hit it right on the head. It caused a lot of strife and relationship for black couples back in the day when that woman did not feel protected, or she was with a black man who would not protect her. He would not give his life for her. He was outgunned. If him and his black family is in a shack cabin and he just got one gun and 10 bullets versus a group of 30 men who pull up and they got guns and plenty of bullets, there was not much that some of these black men can do. And I think a lot of these women did hold grudges against these men, maybe upset that they could not protect them.
Nothing could be further from the truth. Slavery didn't destroy the black family. Do you know that we were still getting married through slavery? Jumping a broom in secret? Even slavery didn't destroy the black family. Do you know that we were still getting married through slavery? Jumping a broom in secret? Even under punishment of death? We were married during Reconstruction. We were married during civil rights. When do you begin to see the rise of the single-parented black female household? 1970. After they killed Dr. King, the United States government said we must neutralize the black power base. And they determined that the black power base was the black family. It was independent black skilled men and women who financed King, financed Mr. Garvey, financed Mr. Muhammad, financed SNCC and CORE, the Freedom Riders and the sit-in movement. So they said, if we want to crush the black struggle, we got to crush the black family. So guess what they did in 1970? King dies in 68. In 1970, they came into the black communities and de-industrialized our city centers. In 1970, they started shutting down the factories. Remember, up until the 50s and 60s, you didn't need a college degree to get a decent job. Many of us got grandparents who worked in factories their whole life and lived better lives than we're living now with 2 and 3 degrees. They could work in their same neighborhood, and everybody worked for the factory. Good retirement, pension, benefits, medical. They started shutting down the factories in 1970, and then they went into the high schools and did what? Started deindustrializing the inner city high schools. Up until 1970, you could graduate from almost any school in New York, certified as a plumber, certified as an electrician, certified as a carpenter, auto body, brick mason, a welder. They took all those programs out. These are the skills that pays the bills, gentlemen. As long as you have a skill, you can always feed your family. But if all you got is college degrees, you might end up in the unemployment line. Why? Because the skills that we learn in college are not necessarily marketable to other black people. I'm a psychologist. Ain't too many black people running around looking for a psychologist to reveal all the skeletons in their closet.
Yeah, you better talk to a white
Exactly.
person.
So they started sending us to college instead of teaching us how to work with our hands. That was the 70s. That was the economic castration of the black male. Now let's go to 1980. The CIA comes in, cocaine import agency. They drop off crack. So now the unemployed black man who has always been a breadwinner, Envy, even in slavery, we were always the breadwinner up until 1970. Now the crack comes. You got a decision. I can sell this crack and try to put some food on the table, or I can smoke it to deal with the fact that I'm no longer economically relevant to the black woman. And let's be clear, the decade of the 70s was the decade of making the black man economically irrelevant to the black woman. We're the only man in America who is out-earned and out-educated by our mates. No other woman. We're the only man in America who is out-earned and out-educated by our mates. No other woman in America out-earns and out-educates their mates. And this is not the black woman's problem. I want to be clear. This was systematically done to make us irrelevant to our family.
Survive without a man. We do all the time, all over the country for years. We can survive without sexual intimacy. We can survive. We can make it. All right. But we're not satisfied
Okay, I'm not going to say happy because the word happy is not in the Bible, the Torah, or the Quran, so it can't be that important. They made it important to us because we spend money for happiness. All right, and we think it's everybody pick out what they want to have happiness. All right, but as I said, peace is the number one thing that creates happiness and allows all of the other things to grow and happen. But we're very lonely because of our men being so discouraged right now. Okay, some of our best brothers are in prison. Okay, they get a different education there, and we are struggling, of course, with the mental health issues that has been forced on you by living in a hostile environment your entire life. Okay, a personal rejection is very, very, that's hard to handle over the years. You know, many of you have been rejected by your father. Some of you have been rejected even by your mother and the entire society. That's very hard, and we don't consider that. Now, I know right now it looks like we're having a harder time, but we ain't never had as hard a time as you because the enemy has always tried to take your place and make you look inadequate by giving us everything we need for us and our children to survive. The entire objective is to keep you and me apart. Whatever the risk is, whatever the cost is, they would rather deal with that than allow us to get together. You know, when I was young, they used to say that mafia stood for Mothers and Fathers and Association. I don't know if that's true, but it makes sense, all right? Because you can always do better with a helpmate. You can do better with peace, all right? That's the greatest inspiration.
Yes, those Willie Lynch letters was pretty eye-opening. I remember reading that book years ago. I think it will be an eye-opener to a lot of black people, the way they move and interact with each other, men and women. And I'm not sure if people will still be able to change their views and their ways when it comes to black love. And I don't think this is something that can heal, you know, in a few months or a couple of years, because I think a lot of people just got 160 years of just straight up trauma. You're talking about generational trauma, psychological trauma, all kind of stuff that people got deep down within them. A lot of these people simply need therapy and counseling just to even move forward, to even look to being in a relationship. But I'm going to stop the video right there. You guys drop a...